Hey guys, it's Trevor here with another episode of the Service Contractor Allstar Podcast. Again, sponsored and brought to you by Motion Ops. If you love the content, drop us a like, make sure you subscribe, and yeah, we're excited to go ahead and bring you another fired up episode. We have Bryan Clayton here from GreenPal, joining us all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. He's got a fantastic story. Just some quick background on him, and then we'll let him kind of explain a little bit himself. But he started cutting grass in high school with a push mower. They grew into one of the largest landscaping businesses in Tennessee, doing over $10 million a year with 150 employees. He successfully sold that business, and then he started what he's currently building, which is GreenPal. He built it from scratch, with no outside funding, which is a fantastic lesson for all of us entrepreneurs. No tech background, taught himself how to code, built the first version of the software, bootstrapped it into a platform that now services 300,000 customers. Currently revenues, give or take 30 million a year, which is fantastic. Bryan, we're super excited to have you here as a guest on this podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me on, Trevor. Great intro. I appreciate it. That sounded pretty cool. And a lot of times, people do an intro and it's like, man, that sucked, but that was actually a good one. So I appreciate that.
You bet, man. You bet. So we try to do our research, try to get to know our guests, and
Yeah,
uh,
totally.
I think
Yeah, you've definitely done your research.
I think as well too, it also helps our audience to just understand where you can add value. It's like, hey, he's done this, he's done this. Okay, if I apply this, then he'll be able to get me to that
Totally.
next level, right? And so that's why we do that. And I mean, as far as it goes, I got so many questions for you. Let me start off with your first business. So started out of high school and you successfully sold it. How long did it take for you to grow to 10 million and sell? I mean, I think a lot of people are like, oh, I want to sell my business someday, but like, I mean, what did that really look like for you to grow to a point to sell?
Yeah, I just started in high school mowing yards because my parents wouldn't buy me a pair of soccer cleats that cost over 20 bucks. And
Sounds like my parents.
y-
You learn to
yeah,
be scrappy, right?
and I didn't want $20 soccer cleats. I wanted the good $100 soccer cleats. And so uh my dad said, "Well, the neighbors need somebody to mow their yard. You could do that." And I was desperate enough that I actually mowed the neighbor's yard and got paid 20 bucks. And something just clicked in my head. I thought, well, this is awesome. I can get 5 more of these, knock them out, and there's my soccer cleats. And so I just kept doing that, rinse and repeat all through high school. And I guess all that to say that it started off as just a way to kind of put money in my pocket. And even in through college, I didn't want to take on student loans. And so I kept mowing yards through college. I would cut grass all day long and then go to school at night. And my classmates hated me because I would literally come into night school at like 6 o'clock at night, smelling like gasoline and grass clippings. And like at the foot, I'll never forget this. I was so embarrassed at the foot of like where I sat in class would be like grass clippings all over the floor. And that was my life for like 7 years. And I did all of that as a means to an end. I did not want to be a lawn guy uh, my whole life. That is not why I went to business school. In fact, I was going to business school to try to get out of that because I hated the lawn mowing business. And when I graduated, I started doing some like back of the envelope math, and I realized if you take a job with this business degree, you're going to take a pay cut from what you're making in the home services business. And I thought, okay, well, damn, I really don't enjoy this business, but maybe I could grow it from something more than just me and a couple of helpers slogging it out in the trenches every day. Maybe I could build a real business in this industry. And I made a little business plan and started working on the plan, working on the business. And within a couple years, I got it over a couple million a year in revenue, maybe 10 employees. And then I kind of plateaued for a while, and then I realized that I actually wasn't in the landscaping business at all. I was actually in the sales business, and I needed to figure out a way for the lawn care and landscaping side of it to be kind of table stakes. And then I needed to spend all my time working on the sales engine at the core of the business. and what it was that we did differently than our competitors, and trying to figure out how we could go after these bigger maintenance contracts that were, 6 figures, sometimes 7 figures maintenance contracts.
So you decided to go
And
whale hunting, huh?
say again?
I said you decided to go whale hunting. So
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
call it
Whale
whale
hunting in
hunting
the
when you go
lawn mowing
after the bigger
business, and
contracts, right?
it wasn't glamorous, but it was definitely a way to build a business, and and yeah, started started trying to figure out, okay, well, what can I do to build a sales engine to prospect these types of contracts and connect what it is we do with people that make those decisions. And that took about 5 years, and I did it every way you could do it wrong before I figured out a recipe that actually worked. And so grew that from 2 to 3 to 5 million and 10 and ultimately around 10 million. And when the business was acquired, it was 100% commercial landscape maintenance, around 90 crews going out every day, all over Middle Tennessee, and thousands of locations that we maintained, and learned a lot building and growing and exiting that company.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, and how long did that process take for you? How many years?
15 years,
15
yeah. I
years.
I guess you could
Half of them were
say
probably part-time,
I
right?
re
Half of those
yeah,
are part-time?
I was, I was I was running a real small business while in college. So even, when I graduated business school, because I was doing it full time and going to school at night. And so I had probably 5 employees by the time I graduated college, and doing, half million, 750K a year in revenue. And so it was a actual little small business that was humming and profitable. And that kind of put me on first base to kind of get it to a real company. So I guess you could say business was acquired 2013. I kind of officially got started in 1998. So yeah, it took about 15 years to go from me and a push mower to eventual exit.
It's great. Your story, by the way, resonates with me so much. Like, my parents always made me go buy my own stuff, so I had to learn how to work at a very young age, and,
Thank God for it.
and work my way through school and home services, selling alarm systems door to door, graduated debt free. It's just like, dude, I don't know. I think the way that a lot of kids these days are raised is just very broken. Parents pay
Yeah.
for everything, college debt. Like, I mean, just the way you did it, I really appreciate and respect. And I think that's attributed to a lot of your success in life, just honestly. So,
Well, and you know, it was almost like I didn't have any other choice. And to your point, if somebody had thrown a free education at me and given me a free apartment and bought me a brand new vehicle, I probably would have taken it. And so, I was very lucky to have had parents that we were from modest means, middle class in the South, and I was extremely lucky that they did not give me a full, easy path in life. And some of it was because we weren't wealthy, but the other part of it was intentional. They intentionally made that decision because they knew that that was how you kind of figure it out and forge your own way and build something for yourself. And thank God they did that. The other thing I was extremely lucky was growing up in Middle Tennessee, which was in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and today, booming. Growing, tax-free, no state income tax, a lot of businesses moving here, a lot of new neighborhoods. We had our ups and downs going through the great housing crisis and all of that, but still, for the most part, a lot of new opportunities for a small business owner
oh,
to
yeah.
grow and expand their business because there was economic vibrancy in the community.
So what year did you sell?
2013
Okay.
was the year it was
12 years ago.
acquired,
Yep.
and then I took about a year off, tried to figure out what I wanted to do next with my life. And I really, at that point, I kind of wanted to, I read this book called The Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, and
That's a great book.
in that book, yeah, great book. He talks about this mysterious person called the capitalist. And the capitalist is like this dude or this lady that sits in the, sits, just chills and puts their money to work and is like in the middle of these deals, and whether it be real estate or small businesses. It's something I thought, man, that would be cool. I should just do that. And like, cause running a landscaping company, running a contracting business sucks. And so I tried that for like a year, and it was like things got existential really quick. There was no longer a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And there was no longer like an answer to the question, if it wasn't for me, then what?
Yeah.
Because up until that time,
There's only so
running
there's only so
my
many
contracting
deals.
business, it was like I had 150 families
Yeah.
that depended on their business. Like, it depended on me getting better every day, every week, paying attention to the numbers, growing the business so there would be opportunity for my people, and, like, that was now gone, and so things got weird.
There's
Nobody pr
there's definitely something virtuous about that, and like just enlightening about like, dude, I need to go perform for these people, and it's almost like
Yeah.
a purifying effect, dude. And so, and the other thing I was gonna say too is, being the capitalist, if you really think about it, there's not that many deals that you can be involved in to really occupy your
Yeah,
time and give you much fulfillment. I'm sure
right.
that's probably what you felt, right? So,
Totally
it,
felt that. There was no reason to get out of bed early in the morning and crush it, and I got fat. Like,
yeah,
I literally got, like, out of shape
yeah,
because there wasn't this, like, forcing function in life to push me forward.
yeah,
And I guess that was the thing I didn't realize about the first business was, if you're really throwing your soul into a small business, into a project, throwing your passion into it, you as a person evolve into a completely new person every, like, 2 years or less. You are learning new skills that you never would learn in 100 years. You're taking on, like, new challenges that you don't wanna do, but it's required of you as the founder, and, like, you're evolving, and as human beings, like, our biology is wired to feed us dopamine for pushing forward. Like, if we could just be happy, like, sitting at a lake and staring at the beauty of it all day, like, we would do that, but then a bear would come eat you alive. Like, that is just not the way our brains are wired to reward ourselves, and so I felt that also, like, there was no progress.
the
The
funny thing is that image is what I think a lot of us entrepreneurs think what happiness really is. And it's like
Yeah, yeah,
this false image because of movies, because of Hollywood, because of our just own crazy ideas. But really being in the grind and doing what we do every single day is probably the most rewarding thing that we can do. And I mean, it's funny. I've got my a bunch of buddies that I used to work with at a previous company, and a lot of them are really great operators, really good at running businesses, running sales teams, recruiting, operationally, and everything else. And a lot of them just kind of moving this thing where it's like they're full-time investors. And I'm just like, dude, you guys are not built for this. You need to be operating businesses and growing people. And like, anyway, yeah. So
totally, man, and
I
it's
relate with it a
hard to
lot.
explain. I don't have kids, but the way, like, parenthood has been explained to me is similar, I think, in terms of running a business. Like, I imagine, like, changing diapers and running kids all over to school and baseball practice probably sucks while you're doing it, but having looked back, it's, like, rewarding, and without it, you feel empty, and so it's this weird thing that, like, you hate it, but it's also what gives you fulfillment at the same time. But that's, like, what building my first company was like, and building my second company, and I don't know any other way to exist other than to have that kind of project that I'm, like, really working as hard as I can on to make me feel good.
So what, so I kinda understand what got you here. What got you to the point where you decided, "Hey, I wanna get back into the landscaping game," and then not only doing landscaping, but you kind of flip the model. Instead of doing a standard landscaping company, you decided to do a marketplace. Like, how did we get there? Marketplaces, by the way, are very difficult, and the fact that you self-funded one is honestly, you might be one of the only ones I've ever heard of. Like, and I've got a lot of experience in marketplaces. I'm familiar with them. I've helped build some in the past. I mean, a lot of
Awesome.
times you're competing against VC guys with this stuff, and so, yeah, I mean, just talk to me about how you decided to build a marketplace and where you went from there.
Yeah, it was what really got me in the game was naivete, and I think the naivete can be a superpower in the beginning because if you knew all of the challenges that lay in front of you and all of the things you don't know, you would never do something like this. You would probably never even start any business, to be honest. It was naivete as an asset. I'll tell you exactly how it happened. Took a year off, and I was like, "Man, what am I gonna do now?" I knew I did not want to start another contracting-based business, even though I knew I could, and I could do it again and do it better and do it more profitably. I had no interest in doing that, and I really like at the time, it was 2014, so Facebook had just IPO'd, and it was kinda like the birth of, like, mobile in everybody's hand. Instagram was getting rolling, and it was like, for the first time, we had Uber. That was another kinda point of inspiration, and I watched the movie The Social Network. They built Facebook in, like 15 minutes in the movie.
You're like, "I can do it 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Give
yeah,
me
that looked
18. Give me
fun.
18, right?"
Yeah, yeah, that looked fun. Building a business that touched millions of lives in 15 minutes with a musical montage in the back.
Yeah, that's the way it always works, right?
Yeah, any movie you have ever watched about entrepreneurship, like the crappy part of building the business is always, like, skipped over, and it's set to, like, a musical like, montage theme. Like, if the movie The Social Network was about the real story of building Facebook, it would just be 9 hours of, like, Mark Zuckerberg and, like, 2 other guys in their dorm room in front of their laptop. Like like, it would not be an exciting movie. Um, and so those things, it was kinda like the tech entrepreneur was just this new thing. And really, even if you think about the word entrepreneur in general, like, in the '90s and 2000s, if you were an entrepreneur, you were kind of a loser. You did not you meant you could not get a good job. And then these entrepreneurs, these founders of these tech businesses started becoming super successful and powerful, Mark Zuckerberg being one of them. And that made it really appealing and really alluring to me, and I wanted to figure that out, and I thought, "Well, why couldn't that be me?" The idea that an app should exist for this humble world of lawn care that I know, um, that was one that I had had since, like, 2008. I really, really thought somebody was gonna build an app that where you could push a button and hire a lawn care service. The reason was because running my landscaping company, we had a value to always be helpful no matter what. And so we would just try to whether it be to our employees, to customers, to stakeholders, like, just to always try to be helpful, to try to not say no. And people would call office every single day because we would have 100 trucks going out every day, and they would see our trucks, and then they would say, "Hey, my grass needs to be mowed. Will you come mow my grass?" And at that point in the business, it was no longer profitable to do residential services, and so we would have to kindly say, "Hey, we don't do that, but here is 5 names and phone numbers for smaller operators in town that do, and here you go." And so in effect, we were kind of like in analog, this connector network at a very small scale, at very local scale. And so I saw in analog, I saw the problem and the solution exist. And so I knew that, I saw what Uber, and then I saw what Uber was doing with ride sharing, and what Amazon was doing with small merchants and people wanting to buy from them. And I thought, somebody's gonna build this for lawn care, and so the idea of push a button, get a lawn mowing service, Uber for lawn care, was born, and we called it GreenPal. Told 2 buddies about it. They said, "With your track record and this idea, we'll quit our jobs tomorrow and start this with you."
It's awesome.
And that's how we got started. None of us had ever built a website. None of us had ever laid a line of code down. Didn't even know the first thing about how to do any of it. And we just kinda rolled up our sleeves and started making mistakes, and
And you decided
and
to build
started
your own code versus hiring out the development, huh?
well, so, did not know how the first thing on how to code, and so what we did was we thought, "Okay, well, we'll just pay a development agency, a dev shop to build this idea of this system where you push a button, get quotes from local lawn care services, hire one, pay them, rate them, and then book them for the whole season. We need a system that can do that. And so we started interviewing dev shops in Nashville, Tennessee, where we're from, and ended up hiring this outfit. Long story short, took about a year and almost 200 grand of our little bit of seed capital, and they built something that was hardly usable. And
Sounds about right.
that was very humbling. And we were reading a book called The Lean Startup at the time, which is a great book. And in that book, the author, Eric Ries, tells you, get out of the building, get out from behind your laptop and go hustle up some customers for this piece of crap you have built, because that is the only thing that matters. And so that's what we did. We went door to door, we passed out flyers, hung out at Starbucks, said free coffee to try our product, rented a kiosk at the mall, did anything we could to get 100 people to use this piece of crap that we just spent 200 grand to build, and slowly began to understand how far off the mark we were, and how it was going to be impossible for us to change order our way to success. And so then we realized, okay, well, if we're going to really do this, we're going to have to start over again. And even though we've wasted a year and all of our seed money, we're going to have to start over, and we're going to have to go to YouTube University and learn how to build software. And it just depends, like, how bad do we want this? How bad do we want to do this? And for me, I had sold my business, so there was kind of no going back. And I had made a decision when I sold the company that when I tried to, kind of half-ass retire, and that no matter what, from that moment forward, I was just going to work on my best idea as hard as I could. And that was my best idea. It's the only good idea I've had in a decade. I haven't had any better ideas. And so that was my best idea. And so I thought, well, we can start to learn how to build a website and go from there.
It's awesome.
And, typed into YouTube how to build a website, and just started watching videos and started doing what they said in the videos. And my co-founder, my co-founder is a little more technical oriented, I guess, from like a DNA standpoint than I am. So he was able to focus on the back end, and I kind of focused on the front end, which is supposed to be easier, but was really hard for me. And I became the world's most terrible front end developer. And he learned just enough to hack together the back end. And within a year, we knew enough to be dangerous and rebuilt the whole thing from scratch.
It's awesome.
And kept the whole time hustling up people to use, not hustling people, but hustling up people to use the crappy platform. I guess we were hustling them because it barely worked. But it was very much Wizard of Oz, in the sense that we had this website, which actually looked pretty good. And then behind the curtain, it was spreadsheets, phone calls, text messages, and emails. And we were hand cranking it and calling vendors to bid, calling vendors to show up. But that was good, because then when we rebuilt it, we knew what to build. We knew what systems to build, because we were doing it with spreadsheets and phone calls and text messages. A lot of times, the mistake that a lot of new founders fall into, and we did too, was you build first without hand cranking it, and then you build the wrong thing.
Yeah, hand cranking makes the most sense. If you ever need to hire for a new role, go do the role for 2 weeks, and you'll know what you need to hire for and what you need to have them do. So,
boy, ain't that the truth. Every single time I have tried to do it the other way, it is blowing up in my face. One of my favorite books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey. He talks about this. He says he talks about this in the context of parenting. And he said, rather than telling your kids to do something, you show them how to do it, what you expect, and what what success looks like, and then you hold them accountable to that. And the difference is uh, delegation by abdication, which is, I don't know, you just deal with it, versus stewardship delegation. And so stewardship delegation is, I know how to do it. I've done it before. This is what I expect. This is how we do it here. This is what success looks like. This is what quality looks like. This is how long this should take. You execute this plan I lay out for you and bring it back to me. Anytime I've tried to do it any other way than that, it's blowing up in my face.
Yeah, just hiring someone saying, "Okay, go figure it out," usually doesn't work. So
If you're Google, Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, OpenAI, and you're hiring like the smartest people in the world, then yeah, that Apple, that works because these are brilliant people, and like they're actually better left off to that kind of autonomy. But in the humble like world that most of us operate in, where we're bound by gravity, it does not work that way.
So when you guys started scaling, you guys just focus on Nashville. I'm guessing you guys have opened up many markets. One of the huge issues that people run into with marketplaces is matching supply with demand. There's always like this push and this pull of like, oh, now we need more guys. Oh, now we need more customers. Or, how did you guys go about that? How did you guys balance that out as you were scaling? Like, how did that look for you?
Yeah, we spent 2 years just in Nashville, Tennessee, and the whole time I'm sitting there as like the CEO of this thing. I'm just lamenting to my co-founders like we have got to launch another city. I did not start this to be a website that connects people to order $27 lawn mowing in Nashville, Tennessee. That is not what I am trying to do with my life. And my co-founders would say to me, they'd be like, dude, I think 100 people used this last week and we pissed off 95 of them. There is no reason for us to go to another city, and so we can flip those numbers. And they were right. I
Yeah.
was wrong.
Yeah. You got to fix that
It,
first.
yeah, yeah. And so we began to fix. As it turns out, hiring a lawn care service really sucks. They they don't show up, they flake, they ghost, they change the price, they renegotiate on you. Their equipment isn't the right equipment. They don't have the right insurances. They do a half-ass job. It's just like there are 100 things that suck about hiring a lawn mowing service. And then if you actually do hire one, there's about 1,000 things that can go wrong between you like having grass that's 14 inches tall and you having a nice and neat mowed yard. And so that's why the majority of people that used our platform were not satisfied, was because we did not have the guardrails in place to solve all of those 1,000 things. And so we just began working like a almost like an ER in terms of triage. we were It's like, okay, I know we got 100 problems right now, but these are the top 3 that matter. And we would just solve the top 3 problems that would matter. We would build in the guardrails into the product on both sides of the marketplace to prevent them, and then deal with them when they do happen. And a lot of it was carrot and stick with the supply base, and got it to a point where 9 out of 10 people were happy. And then we started to scale
What
into
are the
additional
guardrails
cities.
you had to put in place? I mean, that sounds like a lot of issues to tackle.
A
So
lot of issues, you name it. The big one is the guy just doesn't show up that day.
yeah,
He's supposed to be there on Thursday.
that that
He shows up on Monday.
that by the way is one of the toughest dynamics to balance in a marketplace.
Yeah,
We work in the remodeling space. We say that subs are reliably unreliable, and so you have these
yeah.
1099 contractors that are often unreliable and they don't show up. How did you guys fix that? Like, what did you do to vet for it, to fix it, to carrot and stick it, whatever?
Yeah. Nowadays, there's tens of thousands of transactions going through every day, and we're able to study the data. And so we have modeling in place where we're able to predict who's going to be reliable, who's not. We balance bid invitations based on that. We will promote suppliers that take this seriously and do a good job, and demote the ones that don't, expel and deplatform the ones that are committing fraud or just aren't showing up. So now we have a millions and millions and millions of lines of code that deal with these sorts of things. But back then, we didn't. And it was like, okay, well, the biggest problem is the guy doesn't show up on the day he's supposed to, or doesn't even submit a price in the first place. He like, it won't even so when someone shows up and they want free prices, they don't get any. So we had to rebuild the vendor experience to put in roadblocks in place when they access their account. If there's 5 new properties that need pricing, they have to go through them, and they hate that. But it was just something that had to be done to make the marketplace work. And then on the other side, if you were supposed to be there on Thursday, and guess what? Now it's Thursday afternoon, you're still not there. We lock you out of your account, and you cannot do anything until you complete that property. And if you don't complete it within 48 hours, you're deplatformed. And that was that was the first thing we did to figure out, okay, as it turns out, like if there's 10 proprietors in the lawn mowing business, about one of them is good. One of them is taking the business seriously. One of them has the ambition and motivation to do a good job for their customers. And it's now our platform's job to sideline the 9 that don't take it seriously, and promote and try to get the one that does, to try to get them to make $500,000 a year.
How do you handle that if the
Um,
customer calls in saying, "My guy didn't show up, I'm pissed off?" I'm assuming you apologize, dispatch another guy as quickly as possible, or how did you guys do it originally, and how do you do it now?
yeah, back in those days, one the you know 1-800 number rang to my cell phone. Support@greenpal.com was my email inbox, and you need to do your own customer support in the early days. And because it's free R&D, and you need the customers. And so that's what we did. And a lot of it was hand cranking. It was like, okay, this guy didn't show up. Let me go call 5 other guys, and let me get somebody else out there. Through the course of doing that, you then begin to build a system around it. It's like, okay, this guy didn't show up. Now let's start going through the queue, and let's text everybody, starting with in concentric circles, who's closest to them, who has good ratings, and let's see if they want it at the same price. And we keep iterating through that until another match is made, and they can do it the next day. And then there's all these knock-on effects. Okay, then that second guy doesn't show up. and, and so then you gotta find a third guy. Second guy didn't show up, so stop sending him those opportunities,
Oh,
by the way.
hopefully the customer doesn't
Uh,
cancel by now, right? So,
yeah, yeah, and then the first guy didn't show up, print a one-star review on his profile, so his overall rating goes down. It's all of these things that you kinda just think through and work through, that start off with spreadsheets and phone calls and text messages.
yep, interesting, super interesting as far as just building it and going after it. So, how many markets are you guys in currently, Brian?
Any city, any town in the United States with over about 10 or 15,000 people, we have liquidity. You can order a lawn mowing service on GreenPal. So I think there's around 4 or 500. We will want to expand to Canada, and then UK, and then Australia, but we still have a further little bit ways to go in terms of driving liquidity and driving transactions in cities that we just don't have a lot of transactions in for some reason. It's very weird. Like a Huntsville, Alabama, we'll do 1,000 transactions a week, and then a San Diego, California will do 110. And it's like, why is that? It's very weird. And so trying to figure out the dynamics between buyers and sellers and supply and demand is a big part of this.
You guys have tried marketing out there and everything? Like, it just seems
You
pretty
try
interesting.
everything,
Yeah.
and what it boils down to is a certain recipe of buyers and sellers, satisfied consumers and satisfied sellers, and trying to figure out how you get more of those, and how and what is and then also pruning out and expelling the bad actors, and then also juicing some more paid ads. We don't do a lot of paid ads the way we think of, like, we think of advertising, like, the majority of the traffic that comes to our property is just through organic search and through ChatGPT or Google or wherever. And that's how we get 90% of new signups. And then, there's word of mouth. So we think of that as like a chandelier, and then we think of paid ads like Google AdWords, Facebook ads as a laser. And so we kind of fill in wherever we're sparse with paid ads. And so it's not just throwing more money at it, that doesn't work. And in fact, you would be better off taking those dollars and paying more engineers to build more features, and paying smart people to look at the data, and figuring out, like, what it is you can do from a product level to make more people happy than just going and buying a bunch of AdWords.
So a lot of these guys that work in your platform that are the yard maintenance guys, right? The landscape guys. Now, when they work on your platform, are they generally solopreneurs, or they have like teams and it's like, hey, I'm gonna go get these 30 jobs and divvy it up between three guys? What do you see the pattern is?
Yeah, the sweet spot is your one person show.
Yeah,
Uh, Peter in a pickup, Molly in a mower. We have a lot of female-led ones
I
that
love
are
it. It's
that you
fantastic.
wouldn't think there'd
It's
be
amazing.
a lot of female owners in this business, but there are. And as it turns out, anecdotally, they're they're the better performing ones. So that's kind of funny and unexpected that I did not expect when I started this. And so that's really our sweet spot is one person show, maybe a helper. But if you've got 5 or 10 employees, you've already got a bunch of others. You've already got systems in place, and you don't need another system. And so they typically are not a good fit. Now, we do have several that do, um, that make over $1 million a year on the platform. Several. But the majority of the liquidity is driven by smaller operators. And I believe, like, we could build this in such a way and grow it in such a way that there is no reason for there to be a big landscaping company ever again for small lawn care jobs, because there's no reason for somebody to work on a landscape crew when they could just download an app and make $50 an hour. And so that's my belief, and that's really why we do what we do. The mission of the business is to connect these small proprietors with a platform so they can grow their small business as big as they want, and to be kind of their business in a box, and also their coach in a way, because nobody teaches anybody how to run a small business. Every small business that exists is just one that came to be through trial and error and pissing off customers and adapting along the way.
So do you guys
And,
do a
and
lot?
it's
Sorry, do you guys do a lot of the training for these people? You mentioned training, so
it, nobody's going to sit down for any training.
yeah.
So you could have like the best lawn care university training module set up for free in the world. Nobody's going to do it. Um, there is training in the sense of carrot and stick and nudging and getting them to understand this is what it means to be proactive in your business. This is what it means to communicate with your clientele and make sure they're happy. This is why this matters. This is what puts more happy customers put more money in your pocket. Um, this is why it's important for you to follow up with these 3 customers, because they've gone cold. They don't have any bookings with you. Um, and putting in the product features along the way that force them and hold them accountable to do those things is what our platform is now built to do. Nobody's going to sit down and learn how to run a landscaping business through consuming content. Um, and that's why it sucks to hire a lawn care service. It's like every lawn guy just learned how to run a successful lawn mowing business because they pissed off a bunch of customers along the way. And it's our job to eliminate those negative interactions and to try to smooth that out. And that's what we're built to do.
So, another changing a topic here in Salt Lake City, there's a company called Task Easy. Are they kind of a semi-competitor of you guys? I mean, I don't know your realm as well as I probably should, but yeah, I'm thinking they're a competitor, but you would know better. So,
Yeah. So when we think about competition, um, the main competition is the status quo. So home services, lawn care, landscaping, everything related to maintaining your home is kind of where food delivery was in 2011. If you wanted food delivery in 2011, you could have anything you wanted so long as it was Chinese or pizza. And maybe you might Google for some food delivery options, and you might come across, Seamless or Grubhub, and these websites kinda had a way where you could order maybe a hamburger and a few other things, and, that's kinda like what the state of food delivery was then. And now, fast forward now 15 years later, you can get anything you want from about 3 different apps, like running water. And so home services is kind of where food delivery was. The majority of home services is still happening with phone calls, voicemails, ghostings, upset suppliers, upset consumers. It's still a mess. And there is no shortage of places you can go to get names and phone numbers. There's Facebook, there's Google, there's Angie's List, Thumbtack. You can get names and phone numbers all day long. But you still have to poll these people and figure out, okay, what is their availability? What is their pricing? Okay, what payment methods do they accept? When can they come? And you gotta get your hands dirty. And good luck getting 5 different prices. It's gonna be your part-time job for a while. For anything you need done around the house, not just lawn mowing. And so that is our competition. It's people, 95% of people still do it that way. And so that's our competition. Now, let's say you're part of the 5% that gravitate towards a digital way to get this problem solved. Then our competitors in that context are uh, Angie's List, um, maybe Thumbtack, maybe Facebook Marketplace, maybe Google GMB, and then apart from that, there's 2 or 3 other apps that work similar to GreenPal. TaskEasy is one of them, but I believe they were acquired by a PE firm or something, so they haven't kinda been around, here lately, but there's 2 or 3 others. And so we're competing with each other in the sense of real estate, on Google, in ChatGPT, when people are looking for a way to solve this in a digital way. But you could add all of us up and times us by 10, and we're still not a drop in the bucket for what the size of the industry is.
oh yeah, it's huge. So one of the biggest risks with marketplaces is customers, your service providers trying to take people off platform to provide a service. And especially, I could see that being a threat with lawn maintenance because it's recurring. You show up once, like, hey, any future services you need, just contact me directly. I'll just charge you less than what you're quoted, whatever. Um, how do you combat that? What do you do about that? I'm sure that's something you guys struggle with, right?
In the early days when we sucked, yeah, it was hard. Uh, but the first 500 suppliers had my cell number. I was talking to them all day long, so I kinda knew. I kinda knew with a wet finger in the air who was, using the platform and who wasn't.
Yeah.
So it was kinda like a relationship-based business back then.
Yep.
Um, as time has gone on, we've looked at kinda platform disintermediation as not something that's happening, like, to us, it's happening for us. Because if you're dealing with a lot of that as a marketplace, it just means that your marketplace sucks. and people should not want to go outside of the marketplace if if you're adding enough value. Like, I don't wanna go stay in an Airbnb on Craigslist. I wanna know Airbnb's there, this thing has kind of been through some transactions. I don't wanna, like, ride in an Uber off the platform, even if the guy's gonna give me a 20% discount. So you have to close the gap between wherever you are and where those platforms are, and so for GreenPal, there's a couple of ways that we deal we don't really deal with it that much, but the way we treat that, the way we deal with the way we address that is, first from a consumer experience. You know, when you try to hire a lawn guy and they flaked on you 2 or 3 times, you don't wanna do that anymore. Like, let me just okay, this thing, okay, I know they're gonna be there on Thursday. If they're not there on Thursday, somebody else is gonna show up, and then if they end up not being good, I can just push a button and hire somebody else. And this thing's cheaper than, like, calling down the list, on Facebook, and so I'm saving money. It's more convenient. My card is just billed. Like, no, I don't wanna do it the old way. That's the consumer experience. From the landscaper experience, it's, "Okay, this thing got me 20 customers last week. I don't wanna kill this golden goose, and so I need to keep my ratings up. I need to get ongoing customers on this thing, and if you don't, you stop getting free bid invitations. So if you don't carry a certain number of ongoing clients and you don't convert, the one-time, audition lawn mowings, a certain threshold of them to weekly or every 2 weeks, we stop sending you opportunities." So it is a kind of a self-reinforcing, system that we've built over time that rewards the ones that wanna run their business on our platform and demotes and expels the ones that don't.
I love it. It's fantastic. Um, yeah, I mean, super interesting perspective of it, and really just being able to have something that has value for the client just makes a lot of sense. It's going to keep them returning and coming back. Now, the two tricky parts about this business is, you want to open a market, you got to go drive some clients, you also got to go recruit some guys, or gals, suppliers. So what do you guys typically do to go get new clients? Let's say we're opening up a new market, we need to go ramp it up. What are we going to do to go do that, to go drive some sales, some clients, go get people downloading the app, using it? And then what are we doing on the flip side to go get more suppliers to join the platform?
Yeah, so nowadays we have a waiting list in pretty much every city for suppliers. So most every most every marketplace is going to be, constrained to the side that's taking out their wallet, with the exception of Uber in a weird way. Uber is driver side constrained. As it turns out, everybody just wants a convenient ride at a touch of a button, but people don't wanna spend all day driving people around. So their marketplace is inverted in that way, but ours and pretty much every other marketplace that connects buyers and sellers is constrained towards the side spending money. And so if we get them on board, the vendors come. And so it's kind of like this chicken and egg problem. And so we focus 100% nowadays, of our efforts on the consumer side. And so we get those folks through every by any means necessary. Content, we create the best content about local small lawn care services that don't have a web presence in that neighborhood, talking about their equipment, services they offer, uh, their background, what makes them different from competition, and developing that content. So when you search for a lawn mowing service in Peoria, Illinois, you get 4 or 5 options that you can hire off the shelf. That's the big way. Then we also do Facebook ads, Google ads as a way to get the flywheel going. Reddit ads now. We do we do local earned media, so we'll reach out to every single publication in the town, whether it's, your ABC, NBC, Fox affiliates, newspapers, radio stations, pitch them on the idea to talk about push a button, get your lawn mowed. Um, and that draws a lot of people to the network. What you realize is that it's not one business, it's 300 because every single city has to stand on its own between buyers and sellers. It's a locally constrained marketplace. Doesn't matter how many vendors you have in St. Louis, people in Seattle don't care. And so you have to build every one of these from the ground up. And for us, it's mainly focused on the consumer side, on the demand side.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, as far as it goes, I can tell you guys have really been through it and you guys have done a ton to go grow it. Sounds like you guys are off to a great start. Where do you guys try to take it from here? Are you guys going to keep trying to grow it, go international? Like what's the thought process with it?
Yeah, the thing that's always frustrating is like we have around 300,000 people using it right now every 2 weeks, using it consistently for lawn mowing. We could easily do 1,000,000. And so driving that number forward, the number of transactions per week is why we get out of bed in the morning. And so we're just gonna keep doing that. And that's the thing that it's like there's so much untapped opportunity for us just in the United States that I am hesitant to launch into an international market until we reach a point of saturation. And so that's probably what we're gonna do for the foreseeable future. AI is helping us a lot, in so many different dimensions. It to be frank, like, we're not gonna hire the engineers that Facebook, Google, and Amazon and OpenAI can hire. Like, we're not in that world. So we're not gonna get those engineers. And so our engineers that we hire are good. Don't I'm not taking anything away from them, but they're not inventing the next piece of technology or they're not like pushing the frontier forward on what's possible. And not now with AI, if like your Facebook or Google engineers here and our person's here, like it closes that gap. And so it levels up every single member on our team. And like that's been huge. And then the other thing is me as the founder, it's helped level me up because now it's like it's like I have a data scientist from MIT and an MBA from Harvard and a product developer that went to Stanford, like following me around all day long. And it's awesome, man. Like what a great time to like start a business, be in business. What a great time to be alive running a business because now it's so much in a way more fun and more limitless because now I can execute at such a higher level. So I'm really excited about the future.
That's awesome. Well, Brian, it's been fantastic. If I do have a couple of quick questions to kind of wrap up with you. So, first off, if you had to recommend any book to our listeners, business book, hey, this book was very pivotal, game changing for me. I highly recommend that they listen to it. What book would that be and why?
Yeah, if you're just getting started in business, like, maybe you're working a full-time job and you wanna go start a business and you've never ran any business before,
Yep,
The E-Myth by
E-Myth's great.
Michael Gerber, great book. Um, I saw a meme the other day, and it was a meme of, the dude from Oppenheimer, and he's sitting on his armchair, um, recliner, and he's naked. And I can't remember that scene from the movie, but he's very pensive in this. He's like thinking about something. He has the weight of the world on his shoulders about the A bomb, is what it is. And it says on the meme, like, me getting ready to quit my corporate job just to go start a coffee shop. And
It's
like
true.
you look at this meme and you're like, on the surface, you're like, yeah, corporate job does suck, and running a coffee shop would be kind of cool. But what the author of this meme does not understand is that like if you do quit that job and go start that coffee shop, your life is going to really suck for about 5 years. And then maybe hopefully it will get better after that. Like, this person has no idea, like, all of the things that have to go right for a successful customer interaction in a coffee shop.
Oh, yeah.
And, like,
It's
they have
rough.
no idea, like, all of the dozens of taxing authorities that are gonna be like bees around you all the time, and they have no idea how hard it is to run a profitable coffee shop. And they think their little corporate job is so hard, but they have no clue how hard they're getting ready to work in this coffee shop. And so the E-Myth is about that.
I
It's
love it.
about the mindset of employee versus founder and employee versus business owner, and it's a good tale that every new business owner should read.
If you had to choose one business mentor to spend a day with, alive or dead, anyone, who would it be? Why?
Oh, wow. Wow. It's like I can listen to a talk that Elon Musk gives, and it's cool, but it's purely entertainment. And I think it's important to understand that. Like, Elon might as well be on Mars compared to where I am. And the same goes for like Brian Chesky, the founder of Airbnb. I'll listen to a talk he'll give, and they're running a multi-hundred-billion-dollar outfit. It's like that is not helpful. And so I think it's important to delineate between like business mentors and like content you're consuming, uh, if it's entertainment or if it's actually helpful. And so I think it's important to like seek out people who are maybe one level ahead of you in the game. And one level ahead of you in the game. And so I would like to maybe hang out with Travis Kalanick, the founder of Uber, but in 2010, when they were just in San Fran and New York. I could learn a lot from that guy. Travis Kalanick today would find me very boring and insufferable. And so I guess my point is like learn from people who are one step ahead of you, and don't fantasize about the big huge names, because they're not, the context is irrelevant compared to where you're at most likely.
Yeah, the problems and things they're facing are like so many levels above.
Yep.
So, um, yeah, as far as it goes for our listeners, I mean, if they want to be able to get to know you better, Brian, or interact with you, what's the best way? Downloading the app, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what's
Anybody want to check out GreenPal, greenpal.com. Anybody want to hit me up, just Google my name, Bryan Clayton, GreenPal, and you'll find all my socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, stuff like that.
okay? Perfect. We really appreciate you for joining us. It's a fantastic episode. I learned a ton. Hopefully, our listeners did as well. And again, thank you so much. If you guys enjoyed this content, give us a like. Make sure you subscribe. If you want to check out Motion Ops, go schedule a demo. We'd love to chat. Thank you so much, Brian. And thanks again, guys. This has been another episode of Service Contractor All Star. Till next time, we'll see you.